Welcome to a deep dive into the fascinating world of bird communication.
Oh, it's a world that's really incredible, yeah.
It sounds like you are so fascinated by how birds talk.
Absolutely.
You've given us a ton of articles and research here to dig into.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
We've got writings that talk about everything from the meaning of a crane's posture to the reason why birds sing at dawn.
It's going to be a fun one.
And even if birds have regional accents,
Yeah.
we're going to uncover some amazing insights into how birds use all kinds of ways to communicate.
Absolutely.
Visual cues, vocalizations, and more.
I think you'll be surprised by how complex it is, really.
Oh, absolutely.
How sophisticated their methods of communication are.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You ready to have some of your assumptions challenged?
Bring it on. All right, let's jump in.
Yeah.
One of your sources describes someone watching sandhill cranes near Kashamak Bay, and they were totally baffled by what they were seeing.
Yeah.
All the dipping and the bowing, the ruffling and the strutting, they had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
Until they found a guide to crane behavior, and they realized every little movement has meaning.
It's like they have their own language, yeah.
It's incredible.
Cranes aren't the only ones.
Right.
Many birds, they rely a lot on body language.
Uh-huh.
The way they hold their feathers, the angle of their head, even mud.
Wait, mud? What do you mean?
While sandhill cranes, they're known to paint their feathers with mud.
What?
Yeah, they use tufts of grass to put this iron-rich red mud on their feathers.
Wow.
Imagine choosing your own color scheme.
I love that.
And there's a couple of theories about why they do this.
Okay.
Some think it helps them blend in.
Camouflage?
Right. And others think it might be like bug spray.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
To think that they're actually choosing to do that for those purposes.
It's incredible.
It makes you realize how many visual cues we might be missing.
Absolutely. We could be missing a whole language.
Totally.
Visual communication is just as important as vocalizations for a lot of birds.
That's amazing.
Like the red-billed kilea, for example. Have you ever seen a picture of one of their flocks?
I can't say that I've studied them in detail. What's unique about them?
Imagine a sky that's just dark with these little birds, their colors flashing as they move.
Wow.
They're sometimes called Africa's feathered locusts.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah, because there are so many of them, and they can really impact crops.
Oh, wow.
And what fascinated researchers was their facial plumage. It's so different.
Okay.
Like from white to black masks, and feathers from red to yellow.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I would think those bright colors would be for attracting a mate.
That's what researchers thought at first.
Okay.
Like a peacock's tail,
Yeah.
showing how healthy they are.
Right.
A scientist named James Dale, he spent years studying them.
Wow.
He's expecting to find that link, bright colors, healthy bird,
Yeah.
but it just wasn't there.
Wow. So if it's not for a mate, what's the purpose of all those different colors?
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
Millions of birds all tacked together in this breeding colony.
Right.
It could get pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
There's nests getting taken over
Wow.
and lots of conflict.
That makes sense.
So those unique face patterns, they're like name tags, so they can tell who their neighbors are.
Oh, so they can avoid fights.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
They're basically using color to get around in their social world.
Just like we use names and faces.
Exactly.
Amazing. It makes you wonder how else they use visual cues that we don't even know about.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So we've talked about visual communication.
Right.
But let's talk about their songs.
Okay. Yeah.
One of your sources describes the dawn chorus in Australia,
Uh-huh.
the Pelega woodlands.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine waking up to that?
It's really something.
It must be incredible.
The dawn chorus is amazing.
Yeah.
And Australia is a great place to study it because that's where songbirds started.
Wait,
Yeah.
Are you saying all the songbirds we hear, say in North America, came from birds in Australia?
Yeah, the DNA shows that
Wow.
songbirds, parrots, pigeons, they all evolved in Australia
Mm-hmm.
and then spread all over the world.
That's a long way to travel.
It's really remarkable.
So why all the singing at dawn?
Well, that's the question.
Yeah.
Scientists have been wondering about that for a long time.
Okay.
There are a few theories.
Okay.
Maybe it's the acoustics, the air is cooler, less
Yeah.
wind,
Right.
fewer bugs making noise.
That makes sense.
So their songs can travel further.
Okay.
Or maybe it's to avoid predators when it's still kind of dark.
Right.
But there's another idea, too.
Oh.
Yeah, you had a source that mentioned a sound recordist, Andrew Skeuch.
Right. He sees the dawn chorus as a way for birds to figure out their place in the world.
Exactly, like they're reaffirming their relationships, setting boundaries.
Like a daily ritual.
Yeah,
It's not just random singing.
No, not at all.
It's a social interaction.
Hmm.
It's more than just pretty sounds. It's fascinating.
Absolutely. And their range of sounds is really something else. From those quiet little partalotes
I love them.
to the calls of the butcher bird, it's like a whole orchestra.
Speaking of different sounds, one of your sources talks about the bell miner.
Yeah.
And how it uses its voice to change its environment.
It's pretty amazing.
I'm intrigued.
Imagine a forest that's just filled with this constant ringing.
Wow.
It's both beautiful and kind of creepy,
I bet.
but it has a purpose. They're creating this wall of sound.
What does that mean?
It's like a fence, but made of sound to keep other birds out of their territory.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea that was possible.
Yeah, they're using their voices to create a barrier.
That's incredible.
It shows you how powerful vocal communication can be.
Totally.
And it's not just about defense.
Okay.
There's also amazing vocal coordination, like with the eastern whipbird.
Yeah, that whip crack sound is so unique.
Well, it's not just one bird. The male and female, they sing together.
So it's a duet.
Yeah, and it's perfectly timed.
Wow, why do they do that?
Researchers think it's a way for the female to keep her mate.
That's so interesting.
It kind of flips the script, doesn't it?
Yeah, so the female is making sure the male sticks around.
Exactly.
This is really changing how I think about bird communication.
And this is just the start. There's so much more to discover about these duets.
This is blowing my mind. I can't wait to learn more about how birds use their voices.
I think you'll really enjoy it. Oh, the eastern whipbird, that's just the beginning when it comes to duets.
Right. You've also got some stuff here about the canebraked wren.
Now, those are something special.
One of the articles says they're masters of timing, even better than humans.
It's true.
How is that even possible?
Well, their timing is just so precise.
Yeah.
Like a fraction of a second.
Wow.
But it's not just the speed. They've got different types of phrases, specific codes, and they can even change their tempo to match their partner.
So they're really communicating back and forth. Not just a basic call and response.
No, it's way more than that.
Like a conversation.
Absolutely, with their own language.
That's amazing.
And here's the really crazy part.
Yeah.
During these duets, their brains sync up.
Hold on. Their brains actually synchronize.
Yeah.
So they're like literally on the same wavelength.
It's incredible.
It's hard enough for me to coordinate a Zoom call,
Right.
let alone synchronize my brain with someone else.
Yeah, it's a whole other level.
What's the benefit of that, evolutionarily speaking?
That's what researchers are trying to figure out.
Okay.
But think about it. That level of coordination,
Yeah.
it has to be for something.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's for faster communication
Okay.
or better responses. Or maybe it even strengthens their bond.
Fascinating. So it's like this interconnectedness that allows them to do this incredible thing.
Exactly.
But let's zoom out for a second.
Okay.
We've been talking about all these amazing vocalizations, the duets and the choruses.
Right.
Is it all just the males?
That's a great question.
What about the females?
That's something researchers are really looking into now.
Okay.
For a long time, everyone thought the males were the main singers,
Yeah.
using their songs to get mates,
Yeah.
defend their territory.
Right. And the females just choose.
Exactly.
But you're saying it's not that simple.
Not at all.
Okay.
There's been some groundbreaking research by
Yeah.
Curran Odom and her colleagues,
Okay.
and they found that females actually sing in most songbird species.
Wow. So we've been missing a huge part of the story.
It seems that way.
Why would they lose their song? I mean, if communication is so important.
Well, one idea is that it has to do with migration.
Oh.
You see, migratory birds,
Yeah.
they have really short breeding seasons,
Right.
and they're more likely to have lost the female song.
I'm trying to follow.
So the males, they arrive first,
Okay.
set up their territories,
Okay.
and the females don't have a lot of time to pick a mate.
Right.
So maybe they don't need to sing as much.
Interesting. So in birds that stay in one place,
Yeah, resident birds.
the females are more likely to keep their singing abilities.
Exactly. Because they both need to defend their territory all year round.
Wow. This is really changing how we understand birdsong.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Totally. It's like a whole new world has opened up.
It reminds us to always question what we think we know,
Absolutely. There's always more to learn.
especially about nature.
So let's go back to those canebraked wren duets for a second.
Okay.
Their brains are syncing up, their songs are super complex, they're adjusting their tempos.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
What are they actually saying to each other?
Well, one of the articles mentioned a study
Okay.
where they analyzed tons of these duets.
Wow.
And they figured out that they have different phrase categories.
Like words or sentences?
Kind of, yeah.
That's so cool.
And these phrases, they actually communicate specific things.
Like what?
Like where they are,
Okay.
if they're staying together.
Uh-huh.
Even if there's danger around.
Wow, so it's a real conversation.
It really is.
They're exchanging important information.
About their lives, their environment, everything.
This is incredible.
And the level of coordination is just amazing.
I know, it's hard to wrap my head around it.
They're not just reacting, they're anticipating each other.
It's a real partnership.
Absolutely. It's fascinating to watch.
I bet I'm definitely adding canebrake wrens to my bird watching list.
You should. You won't regret it.
It's amazing what we can learn just by observing them.
And listening.
Especially when we start to understand their language.
Exactly.
There's so much going on around us that we don't even notice.
It's true, a hidden world.
And the more we learn,
Yeah.
the more we realize how much we don't know.
Absolutely.
It feels like we've only just scratched the surface,
Yeah.
even though we've covered so much.
It's a lot to take in.
Before we wrap up,
Okay.
let's recap some of the key takeaways.
That was good.
What really stood out to you?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is that birds don't just sing.
Right.
They use all sorts of ways to communicate.
Yeah, they really do.
Body language, colors,
Yeah.
even mud.
I'm still thinking about that.
It's pretty cool.
I'm also really struck by how their songs aren't just random.
Oh, yeah.
They're actually saying something.
Right.
They're talking about their identity, their relationships, if there's danger.
Like the bell miner protecting its territory.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Such a clever strategy.
And the Eastern Whitbird duet,
Oh, yeah.
that really challenges our assumptions
It does.
about the roles of males and females.
For sure.
And then there's the female song Discovery.
That was a game changer.
It makes you wonder what else we're missing out there.
Absolutely. There's so much more to discover.
It's exciting and humbling at the same time.
It really is.
So what's the one thing you want our listener to take away from this?
I want them to really listen.
Yeah.
The next time they hear a bird singing,
Not just as background noise.
really pay attention.
Try to imagine what they're saying.
What their relationship is like.
If they're telling a story.
Exactly. And don't forget,
Yeah.
there's a whole community of bird lovers out there.
Right.
Share your observations, ask questions.
Keep learning.
You might even discover something new.
That's a great point.
It's all about exploration.
That's a fantastic way to wrap up this deep dive.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us.
It was my pleasure.
And to you, our listener, thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of bird communication.
Keep exploring
Keep listening.
and keep those aha moments coming.
Whee!